Welcome to the Big Biz Show. Taking care of business. You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, and Greg. Now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
And a big old howdy to you, as we like to say here and then these parts. It is the Big Biz Show, wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening. Welcome inside the Loft 100 studios. Costa, Mary Bird Godwin, who does not eat the hill of the
I do not.
loaf of bread.
I do not.
Greg Todorov, our executive producer, and Sully. She doesn't eat the heel.
Do you?
The heel of the bread?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You don't eat the heel of the bread? How come?
I don't know.
Hello.
Yeah. Why don't you go back to Russia?
No, not back to Russia. Back to Beverly Hills. You don't eat the...
Thank you.
Only if it's the last piece and I need it to finish my
For
sandwich.
sustenance?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you eat the heel of the bread?
I don't know. I don't like it.
You cut the crust off?
I don't for myself, but I did for my kids when they were little.
Look at Mike's
Wow.
face.
This is the problem.
But I ripped the crust off, actually. I don't cut it off.
This
I
is what
rip it off.
happens. The participation trophy, right? Second place when we were kids was the first loser, Mary. And you know what? You're lucky to get the crust when you're kids. You know what?
Right.
And not get slapped in the for even talking at dinner.
Uphill both ways.
Do you realize that Dad had to take the first bite at the dinner table?
What?
Oh, I was at one of those tables.
so.
You did not sit down until the boss was sitting down.
No.
No way. Seriously?
And Dad got to take the first bite of dessert.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And sometime Dad just has to hit the kids. When we were growing up, I swear, when we were growing up, and I didn't have any I had cousins.
By a table I can reach across.
It was this. It was. It was like.
I might have had one of those. Yeah.
It was like one of these.
Where you're sliding around the back seat.
He's backing
right?
up. He's backing up. He's one of these. He's got the going on, and all of a sudden it's like one of these.
Oh, yeah.
You, James, you know,
Yeah.
right? Like
It's so true.
the station wagon.
Cigarette hanging here,
Kids
maybe
are
a
flying
Miller
around the
Lite
back
in their
seat,
hand.
right?
What?
Because kids are sliding around on the back.
Oh, yeah, you were
because there's no
buckled in.
seatbelt.
You know what the seatbelt was?
Nope.
What? Cuts out.
Yeah.
That was the seat.
I still do that to my kids actually in the car. I don't know why. They're like, what are you doing?
Shortstop. Yeah.
Well, and cars were made to be cars back then because that dashboard had to be steel.
Oh, my gosh. No kidding.
That dashboard
No kidding.
had to be a perfectly spray painted. Remember those aluminum milk cups you got when you were kids? We could get the milk really
Oh, those
cold.
were the best.
Oh, yeah.
That's what those things are made out of.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
My little brother Pete, we stopped one time, and he went flying right into the dashboard. Wow. Yeah.
He was all county player of the year as linebacker, but didn't do much after that.
No.
But
Turn on the
he
microwave.
was tough.
Forgets his name and he pees his pants.
Yeah.
That's too bad. That's too bad.
Got the dryer. Got the dryer at the laundromat one too many times. Didn't he?
So wait, was he wearing his seatbelt? Because those cars only had the lap belts. It's not like it was going to.
They didn't have any seatbelts. They didn't have any windshield wipers. There was no windshield wipers until 1965.
Good God.
Wow.
No windshield wiper, and there was no seatbelt. This was a seatbelt, Mom.
Yeah.
Mom,
It was a Chevy station wagon.
And
Each door weighed 8,000 pounds.
Oh yeah.
By the way, and if she just had the beehive done, forget, like she's losing one. Over by the Speedy Mart, pretty sure he's back there.
But we stood
Get on
behind the bench seat that my parents were sitting on to drive the car, and you would just stand with your hand, just looking over, watching.
Oh, yeah.
No, what about what about just throwing all the kids in the back of the pickup?
Yeah.
In the back of the pickup.
That too.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
too.
Where are you going? We're just going to L.A.
Hunker
Just a
down so
short
you don't
2 hours.
freeze.
It was so fun as you're on the way to the freeway, right? I was so this is great. And it was all back and next to the cat like the whole time. That's what we were supposed to talk about. We got
No, sorry.
I want
I'm
to talk.
sorry.
I want to talk about something that happened with Capital One. Capital One, if you look at the Dow Jones, the S&P, and all the financial stocks are having a little bit of an issue here. And I can tell you that Donald Trump's going to turn out to be the hero like he was last time in terms of manipulating the stock market because that's what he's doing.
Oh.
But I got a notification from Capital One that I'm not sure if it bothered me or if it made me really happy.
Were they asking you what's in your wallet?
Can I tell you?
Okay.
News Radio 600. Go ahead, everybody. Come back on the break.
More dad jokes.
Stay
Keep
in the
it here.
driveway.
up with the Big Biz Show.
Sarah Michelle Gellar when we come back. News Radio 600.
Big Biz Show rolls on inside the Loft 100 studios. That music you hear and those very talented gentlemen you see right now on your TV screen, the Day Trader Trio, best in the business. We get to sit and listen to them every single day. Sitting here at the bar, it's Costa, Maribert Godwin, our executive producer, Greg Todorov, and Sully.
So I got a 125 million TV home strong, thanks to BizTV and thanks to American Life Network and American Forces Network in 175 countries and all the ships at sea. I got an email from Capital One.
Uh-oh.
Let me show you.
Dear
Mr. Sullivan, you are 90 days. No, that's not that one. No. Here it is. Where is it here? It says, did you mean to tip 25% at the so-and-so restaurant?
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So did you mean to tip 25% on your bill? Now, as a
I
matter
can
of
see
fact,
what you mean where you're like, I don't
as
know
a
if I'm
matter of
happy or
fact,
sad about that.
I did tip 25% because the guy was fantastic and it was exceptional service. Plus, I looked at his shoes and Dad needs a new pair of shoes.
Gotcha.
But I thought, I kicked down. It wasn't that much money. I kicked down a little bit, and I thought to myself, boy, if I was a waiter, I'd be pissed. I mean, could you? Capital One is now going in and second guessing our ability to tip. Now, on the other hand, that might be a good thing.
I mean, if it was like,
but does this sort of?
it's a little weird.
It's a little icky. It's a little icky.
It's a little icky, I think.
Yeah, and it's a close call. Like 25%, that's not that big of a stretch.
45%.
Like I understand if it's like 100%,
yeah.
right? If
Yeah.
you did you mean to leave $400 on that $12?
How about it's also none of their business what
None,
you're
yeah.
tipping? You know?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the exact words here because I thought to myself, well, that's kind of and it wasn't a privacy thing for me. It was more of I was taking the waiter side because I was a waiter for a long time. If you want to make any money, if you're, and I know we have a giant audience between the ages of 20 to 90. If you're a young person and you are trying to make it through school, either get a job at Costco or get a job as a waiter. Because either way, it pays great. It's not minimum wage. It's got, I remember working 25 hours a week.
It's a fun job, kind of.
But yeah. But I'll tell you, I was thinking, this whole tipping arrangement here, first of all, it's a double-edged sword because waiters, they're not claiming all their tips. Therefore, they're not paying taxes on those tips. Then there was a time when they pulled together and they decided that we're going to estimate your tips and we're going to tax you on that. Well, I mean, the crappy servers had to pay tax on, and then now you're starting to think, well, now we're back to normal where waiters and waitresses, servers, bartenders, and the like are getting minimum wage basically because they live on what? They live on tips. I don't want Capital One going in there and second guessing my clients because first of all, what if we were all out in a meeting and it was such a great thing and the guy went above and beyond, because once, as usual, Greg's ordering, no oil, no on the side,
quinoa,
dressing on the side, the thing and the other thing. But let's imagine it's a great, one more tequila. It's a great server, and so we did tip 30% or 40%. Fantastic guy. Mama gets the bill and says he would never tip 40%, right? Yeah. Thankfully, I live like Batman. With myself and Bruce Ward, which is a 140-pound Bernese mountain dog in a castle by myself and don't get out. However, could you imagine if there was a significant other that looked at the bill? I mean, isn't that part of the thing where now I'm ticked off as a waiter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, very much so. But again, if I want to be magnanimous and very forthright with people and take care of them because
you'll say, hello, welcome to the Costa residence.
Well, yeah, keep your feet off the fur-lined floor. But I would say, I don't want anybody.
What's your standard? What's your?
Well, I was just going to say, I agree with you that I think it was too low of an amount because people do 25% if it's a good.
Sure.
A good service. If you're upwards of 45, 50 up, then that's when they could maybe flag it. But
how do you? Okay, so let's say it was 40%. Are you okay with them flagging it?
Yeah.
You are.
I mean, yes, because a lot of people.
I got kind of up to here with the two-factor authentication. You know what? 2580 password to everything. You can steal everything I got.
Look, some people are overserved.
2580.
Let's say you're Greg and he maybe couldn't see straight when he was writing the tip and he wrote the wrong number. I mean, that's maybe happened to me once or twice in my life.
No,
and
you wrote the wrong number giving it to a guy. That's a whole different story.
Well, that too, but I mean,
I'm talking.
My ability to add the tab up before 9 years ago was not. Sometimes I was overserved and I didn't write the right number.
You know what this tells me? This tells me that the credit card companies have had to cover a lot of money because people have said, wait a second, I didn't leave that tip. And by that point, it's too late for them to get the money back.
Yep.
Totally.
Right? So then the credit card companies have to eat it. There has to be an issue here that's causing it because that's pretty low.
That's a great point. This has to do with loss prevention.
Yeah. Sure.
So bust it out. James, would you be okay with it? Would you guys be okay with the credit card company doing that?
No, not at all.
See, doesn't it feel icky?
But last night it would have worked because I got a salmon dinner and they charged me $65 for the salmon at an Irish pub.
Yeah. Jeez. That's what I wanted to catch that stuff. So what is your standard go-to? Are you a it's yours to lose tipper?
Yeah.
Or are you start with zero and bring it on?
No, I'll do 20% unless they really lose it.
I think I'm 20. I think it's it's yours to lose thing.
Yeah. Me too. I'm like Judge Smails in Caddyshack. I just slide that quarter across the table. One at a time. Here, Dan, here you go. Do you guys tip on tax?
Yeah,
no.
The whole thing.
I don't tip on tax.
I don't tip on tax.
You're doing math in the restaurant at the end of the bill?
Yeah, you got a calculator.
I pull my phone out
or go to the bar.
No. It's embarrassing because my wife can do it in her head like this. I've got to go.
I do my calculator on my phone.
Mike's like carry the two.
Pretty much.
Divided by 3.
Do you have an abacus I can borrow?
Okay.
Now you're aging yourself.
I know. So this leads into the other story I wanted to talk about that I was going to talk about anyway, but this hijacked it. So I was in another city in a hotel, and it was a Hilton property. It wasn't a Four Seasons. It wasn't a Westin kind of foofy thing. It was a Hilton, but it was a beautiful hotel.
Sure.
And it was. I mean, it really was. It was like it was one of the coolest hotels I've ever been to. I was really surprised. It's Hilton. And you realize hotel companies don't own the property. They just run the brand. You know, they put their template over whatever the property is and they run. I had to be somewhere in a half hour. Hadn't eaten. It's 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Was just going to get something quick. Walked up to the bar. Nobody's there. We're talking about, nobody's there. Guy walks up and he says, hey, I can get you water, but after you get your waitress, I'm the manager. It was kind of a weird sort of just, just take a while.
Yeah.
Lady comes up, very nice lady. And there was another guy who walks up to the bar, kind of a drunk, chatty traveler type guy. You can tell he was, trying to chat up the bartender. And he was a taco shy of 600 pounds, and he was like talking about how great the food is and what's for dinner. Like, it's like, dude, you don't want to lead with that at this point, bud. Maybe lead with, hey, I'm going to work out. Where's the gym? Anyway, so I just want to know how much is too long, because I sat down and I ordered what I ordered. I ordered wings or something stupid. It was something easy. Okay, no, I only had half hour.
No, but I'm saying that's a very easy order.
So and I was on a Zoom call, observing at the bar. So the phone's kind of propped up here, and I'm just kind of like, I had it on. I was trying to know what to talk to him. I was just trying to concentrate. Realized okay, this is like 18, 19, 20 minutes goes by.
No.
I said, hey, I go, are we getting close? Because I got to jump in here, just like that. They're literally putting the wings on the plate right now. Okay, great. It's now 2:29. She's poured me a drink, like a soda, which I granted took a sip out of, but didn't drink the whole thing. Mm-hmm. I looked down, and it was just now it's like getting like stupid. So nobody to tell. I left.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Now, forgot about it. Forget about it. That happens sometimes. It is what it is. I go back that evening and I asked the same manager guy, I go, hey, how long are you guys still serving dinner? Because I hadn't eaten yet.
Yeah.
Right? It's now like 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I go, today it took like 35 minutes. Oh, well, we put that on your tab. And you know what? I don't want any lip from you. You were rude to the waitress.
Oh my God.
And he says this. He says, well, that on the ticket there, it says it was 18 minutes. I go, oh, really? Show me the ticket, because I took a picture of my of my Waze. I accidentally took a screenshot because I was on Zoom. Of my, not my Waze, my Uber.
Yeah.
And I took a picture of the drink as I left, just to send to my buddy. Still no food. 2:35. Right? I go, show me the thing. And so in front of, dress me down in front of the entire bar.
Whoa.
You know, I'll get you right out of here. So
out of the Hilton.
went to bed, bothered me all night long.
Did you ever eat?
No. Talked to the general manager. The next day I said, look, I just want to say. He goes, sir, 3 of the patrons came up to me today and talked about this guy yelling at a customer.
No way, really?
Came to the rescue.
Yes.
Nice.
Awesome. Sometimes even a broken clock's right twice a day.
That's
I
so
love it, man.
inappropriate.
Good for you.
Now, the guy was like, listen, mister, you were rude to the waitress. We put that on your tab. Apparently been there for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
No longer there. Wasn't rooting for that.
No.
Just saying, though.
Like, hey, buddy, you see any missing stars on the... We continue live from the Loft 100 studios, inside the Loft 100 studios here in beautiful sunny Southern California. That is the Day Trader Trio. Best in the business, as they say. Back here at the bar, it is Costa Maribert Godwin. Our executive producer is Greg Todorod, and of course, Sully.
Good to see you guys today. 125 million TV homes strong in this country every single weeknight and on the weekends, of course, thanks to BizTV, American Life Network, and American Forces Network in 175 countries and all the ships at sea. God bless our military men and women through
Always.
overseas and underway. What do you know about AI? And for our next guest, Michael.
United States Navy captain retired. He's the chief strategy officer, COO of Foundational A. Brian, is it Foundational LMA or just Foundational AI?
It's a foundational LLM AI. So
Foundational LLM.
What is that? What's LLM
AI?
What is LLM?
large language model is what LLM stands for. So that's the new generative AI, craze that's sweeping the nation and the world.
Mr. Brian Cunningham with us here.
Good to see you, Brian. Thanks for coming on.
Good show.
Thanks for having me.
So when I think AI, do you get AI confused with Chat GPT?
It confuses
The same thing?
It's the same thing,
right?
Isn't it?
Well, I think AI Chat GPT.
I have such basic knowledge.
This guy's going,
I know.
let me explain to you people what it really is.
I know. That's what I want to know because my knowledge of it is so basic. So,
By the way, me and Mike never made it through Buds, so
No, we didn't.
We went down to corner and watched you guys a lot stuff.
Always.
Working our tans out there and our saltwater treatment.
Whose idea was it? Hey, let's get a telephone pole and put it on them while they're in the surf. That's a good. We're gonna lose about 6 or 7 a day, but you know what? If they survive, we'll win all the wars. I have a question for you. Is when we think about ChatGPT and AI, it's not one and the same, or is it like talking branding, marketing, advertising?
No, it's an overarching umbrella. So artificial intelligence is kind of this umbrella term for all of these different subsets and things, believe it or not, that we've been using for decades, not like years, but decades. So you have machine learning, you have computer vision, you have all these different subsets that have fallen under artificial intelligence. Where the new hotness is that everybody's kind of very much opening their eyes to is the fact that we have generative AI, where the artificial intelligence is now getting to a point where it's not doing simple tasks, it's replicating human thought and human brain in terms of competency and capability.
A few years ago, they had what we are now referring to as ChatGPT, starting to curate articles for sports pages specifically. So some of the stuff that you were seeing in a sports morning show, come across, let's say Sports Illustrated, or even not even Sports Illustrated, but San Diego Union Tribune, was automatically updated online and written online using what we now refer to as ChatGPT. Much like when you talk about the overarching, branding is the overarching for marketing and advertising. AI is the overarching for ChatGPT and machine learning now, as well as next gen learning now, like Perplexity and so on and so forth. My question is this: is that we are on ramping, much like we're on ramping to digital currency, because we have the same $40 in our pocket the last 6 months, and we're all using our phones and everything. We're on ramping to this pretty quickly, probably more rapidly than I think even we on ramp to the internet.
Sure.
Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, and that is the core crux of all the concerns and the issues right now. Is that back in like 2019, the CEO of Anthropic made the comment and was kind of pulling apart the pieces of hey, the scaling and like the acceleration rate. Everyone talks about Moore's law, in terms of microchips and how our computers get faster, but AI has broken that model. And so it's moving so fast in terms of its ability to do more tasks and capabilities that people can't really keep up with that.
Well, now, at the same time, though, I remember saying, I can't remember what year it was, it must have been 1990. What's the internet, man? Hey, Ken, what's it like? If I had a buddy named Ken. What is it? Show it to me. What is it? That's it? You go into this thing and you scroll down, there's a big long picture of what looked like a bad newspaper, and is there a dictionary? Is like a directory I can look up stuff? Remember when we started? But we on-ramped to that in about 18 months. That fast, we were in it. We're on-ramping to this probably faster, don't you think?
Sure, absolutely. A good piece to pull apart, though, when you talk about the interweb as kind of your comparative. In 1998, if you started talking about, hey, listen, I don't have a TV in my home because everything's streaming and I do it all off this interweb.
You wouldn't have believed that.
Piece. I think we're nuts. Yeah. That did take, about 15 years to get there.
It took a minute. Remember Netflix was a CD they sent you in the mailbox at first, right?
Yep.
To your point.
But now you look at generative AI, and since 2020, 2022, where you started having these major breakthroughs, to a point where right now there's over 100 million people in the United States that use it for more than 2 hours a day.
I had a friend of mine, she's a behavioral psychologist, just not a business person, was asked to be part of a 3-location business that was counseling kids on a number of things.
Sure.
And she was trying to figure out the valuation, and she went to Chat GPT and said, what is the valuation of a business that does this, 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 and this? And it wrote out really the pattern she had to talk to the guy, to talk to him about how to open the conversation up, which was brilliant. Is that a dangerous thing where we're at? Is that we're kind of not completely baked here for consumers? Because I know you're doing, and I want to talk about what you guys do specifically, but as consumers, I can't tell you how many articles I see. I get articles, they write articles about me all the time, and I open one up and I'm living with my lovely wife, Lynn, in Newport Beach with my 2 boys. Not married, don't have 2 boys. It's about 85% right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right, see what I'm saying? It's almost like we're not quite ready because the infrastructure's not quite in place. Would you agree with that?
Well, in part, yes. I think that it's 2 different pathways. And one of it is, as humanity, we have to lead ourselves to a decision that we all need to kind of collectively come to in terms of, morals and ethics. Responsible AI is the catch term right now. So,
right.
So we have opportunity.
You think Business Insider,
sure,
right, is it credible? No. I'm not living in Newport Beach with my lovely wife Lynn and my 2 boys, or am I? So which frightens me?
Brian Cunningham is Captain of the United States Navy, retired Chief Strategy Officer, COO with Foundational LLM AI. Talk to us about what's going on with everybody there at Foundational LLM.
Yeah, so that's great. Thanks for that segue too. So the key piece with it is it's something we've been doing for a while, and where you find interest and great financial intersection is it all started with an experiment in 2018 where the 2 founders, which are computer scientists, one of them, he calls himself a failed quantum physicist, which
aren't we all?
Great. The other is, a Stanford computer scientist. And they came up with this platform in which the same exact technology, they used it to listen to every single piece of spoken word, video, podcast, whatever, about the markets and about financial institutions. What are the predictors?
We're in this. We must be in this.
And made it put the semantic pieces in it so that it could actually make kind of sense of it all, and then create predictives. And so they started
predictives in terms like technical, like you're talking predictives in terms of what markets are going to do.
Sure. And they ran an experiment with cryptos, and in 2019 with cryptos. And while the cryptos were tanking and having challenges, the actual trades and the predictive trades ended up having something like 42% returns, which was
predictive technology has been around. It's going back to the Elliott Wave principle, whereby we found out that people's emotions. You can just go to a stadium and you can watch it. The fact we lament our losses 3 times more than we celebrate our gains. The fact that you can see using a stochastic oscillator or a relative strength indicator or a moving average. I can tell you within about 80% degree of certainty the probability of a stock going up or down over the next couple of weeks. And I think if you can take that technical analysis, which I just described, sure, and take that through thought leaders and the people that actually, the key opinion leaders, and then take it and mix it in a blender like what you guys are doing, then you have the cure for male pattern baldness, the cure for cancer, you can retip shoelaces at the same time.
Global security and national security.
Yeah. Brian Cunningham, you're staying with us. You're not going anywhere. Foundation LLM.ai. Foundation OLLM.
Big Biz Show rolls on from the Loft 100 studios, wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening. As always, we appreciate you being along for the ride. Part of that ride is the DTT, Day Trader Trio, up on stage. Back here at the bar, it's Costa but Godwin, our executive producer, Greg Todorov, and Sully. And with us is the CSO, Chief Strategy Officer, COO, Brian Cunningham of Foundational LM.ai, former Navy SEAL, Special Ops Officer, 25 years of experience leading elite teams in the world's most extreme environments. Something I will never have attached to my name, what I just read. But Brian, it's great to have you with us.
Brian, my limited knowledge of AI, Chat GPT, goes to, I had it help me plan my trip to New York. I kind of plugged in the dates and things I like.
Did you follow it? Was it useful?
Very. Oh, I haven't been on my trip yet, but it was very helpful to tell me some places to go that I researched, and it helped me.
Are you going for your birthday?
Maybe. Which is when? I don't know.
We haven't mentioned it. We haven't mentioned it. We haven't mentioned it's 24 hours.
It's a birthday month.
My tongue. I wanted you all to be proud. I'm so glad. But it is this week.
How much editing did you have to do?
Well, I just went and researched some of the places, and it gave me a really great starting point. I've also used it to help me write emails or whatever, different things. But so how do we go from that very basic usage of it to potentially what you're doing, national security and, these big...
Market prediction.
Yeah.
Sure. So I think the core fundamental shift you need to take is to stop thinking about it as like a search engine or Google, 2.0, whatever it is, and think about it as an agent or a person. We use, agentic, and agents are the big kind of catchword right now. Our company's been doing this for, since 2018, where you have these agents. What is an agent? It's a software protocol that acts like a person. So you can give it a task. Here's the goals, here's the objective, here's your constraints. I only have, $5,000 for this trip, and here's the days. Go solve this problem for me. And it can access data sources, it can do research, it could figure out, hey, this was a dead end, and let me try it again in terms of, train travel through New York, whatever it is. And it'll come back, and you've done nothing to put input into that. And it comes back and achieves your goal and provides you that information at the same exact time that it can use tools. So instead of you Googling, this thing could go, your agent, while you're, walking the dog, you come back, 30, maybe 10 minutes later, and it has laid out this massive research, 40-page report with, web links, with recommendations, with timelines, considerations.
Wow.
I think the first 800-pound gorilla in the room is garbage in, garbage out, right? What that means is, so listening to, let's go back to your analogy, or actually how this place started with doing the test, listening to all of the podcasts, radio broadcasts, television programs. Some of them are credible, some of them are ours. Sure. You're taking good. But the point is that you got is there a filter factor going in? Because you talked about responsible AI. That must be part of this, correct?
Yep, absolutely. So, they've started developing and incorporating, our company had it as part of its, foundational code in it, guardrails, of putting guardrails in place and leveraging, big companies have those in place too. If you go to Google or if you go to Bing and Chat GPT, whatever it may be, and you say, hey, listen, I really want to blow up the Coronado Bridge in California. Please provide me a plan on how to, do this.
Busted!
It's obviously going to stop, and it's going to have these guardrails in set place to say, hey, listen.
Well, what about bad information like just non-factual information or inaccurate information that comes out and gives her a trip, and then all of a sudden that freeway was blown up 3 years ago, and they put instead of it a bike lane?
Sure.
How is that handled?
So there's a bunch of different methods.
Same guardrail?
Yeah. Well, there's different guardrails that would be for protective, but then this is what you would call accuracy.
Right.
So you want something accurate, and by the nature of AI. And some of the big benefits that a lot of different, artists and the, entertainment industry is benefiting from is it hallucinates. So it comes up when it first came out, it was like, hey, a really great way of, trying to make your pancake batter a little bit fluffier is adding Elmer's glue to it, and it's like, what? And it just because it's, it hadn't had this checks and balances.
Mike would have tried that.
So is it getting better every day? I mean, is the more people use it, the more it comes up, the better. It's almost like conditioning itself for more accuracy along the way.
Sure. And to go back to like the agent piece, the way you get that is they now created it so it checks itself. So perfect example of the platform. What we created was this multiple level of, hey, I've got one agent that's whatever. Reconciling savings, transactions at a mid-sized bank in the South, whatever it is, millions and millions of transactions per day, and it's able to take a look at it. No human could do that in a single day. This thing, can do it in, whatever, an hour, but it checks itself. And so it has all these other agents staring at it that say, nope, that's wrong. Nope, that's wrong. That came from Mike Costa, ignore it. This
Bingo.
Can I say this? Okay, first of all, so talk about the company for a minute, okay? Because the last question that I want you to answer before we get out of here is, what is going to be possible in the next 18 months, 3 years, 5 years, in your opinion? But before I get to that, what is your business model? What does it look like? Are you a service provider? Are you an infrastructure? Are you a backbone? Or is the answer yes?
So no, actually we're a product company, believe it or not. So we're a PaaS, so a platform as a service, kind of stepping beyond a SaaS model. Mm-hmm. So what we actually do is we provide, it's architecture, some coding, all the basic tenets of a little black box that we deploy into a customer's tenant. So in their cloud.
Describe customer. Not you have to name names, but give me an example of a customer. Any customer? It could...
I can name names if you want to,
sure,
but big enterprise customers that are scared of adoption because the chief risk officer is like, oh God, no.
So you're the on-ramp.
So we are the black box that is right off the shelf, and you have all these different custom pieces of data, whether you're a bank or you're a university. And you don't want anybody to have access to it. You don't want internal measures of analyst number 355 should not be able to figure out what the CEO's
internal controls. Right.
Absolutely. And so it's ready, and you just deploy it. We custom plug it in, and then you scale it in the enterprise. And a perfect example is one of our customers is Major League Soccer, in that they want something very simple, one single little agent, which is really complicated. It's the chat bot that is, on their app, on their phone, for all of their fans to use. And it asks all of these questions, and it has all of their data that belongs to, whatever, media, MLS, sports at large. Mm-hmm. And it has to be really, really, fast. So 10 seconds or less to answer my question, and it has to be 99% or higher accuracy, which, if for technologists and to not nerd out, that's like defeating physics.
How granular is this going to go? I mean, will it be like the guy that owns the local 7-Eleven, or the guy that owns the local dry cleaner, or the deli? Are they going to be able to hire the small version of the iMac versus the big server sort of thing? Are you guys staying in one lane, business and enterprise-wide solutions?
That's kind of built into our go-to-market move for maybe 2 or 3 years down, to get down to a SaaS where you can just click on and download your subscription piece of it. Sure. But right now what we're trying to do is get these major companies that find out the hard pathway, which is I got to build this myself, So after going to some big four consultancy or whatever, and millions of dollars, so they come back and they have a 60% solution.
What did military teach you about all this stuff? Is military? Is there an intersection here for you?
Absolutely. I mean, I started using, believe it or not, AI in some of the most high-risk decision cycles. They used to call it the kill chain, right? I was task force commander in Iraq and Syria. And at the time, they were deploying a very new, hotness product called Project Maven, which was owned by Google. And it's basically a computer vision, a very, older version of AI that stares at video. Video from drones, video from whatever, and then classifies what's happening. Prior to that, we trained, thousands of humans, for months to be able to stare at a video screen and say, yeah, that's an adult male, that's a vehicle with 4 seats and 2 people in them. And this AI started doing that to get to a point where it provides, decision input to a commander to make a decision, which was me.
I have to ask before you go, and you have to come back and spend a whole hour.
We can do a whole show on
we can't.
Sure.
So, do you have children?
I do.
How old are your kids?
So I have a 25-year-old, I have an 8-year-old, a 3-year-old.
Perfect. I hope you're saying it. I've got a 30-year-old, and I was hoping you said you had an 8-year-old. What are our 30-year-olds, 25-year-olds going to see in our lifetime in terms of AI? And what is your 8-year-old going to see in terms of his or her lifetime? Because it's two separate things. Because there's stuff we're going to see.
Absolutely.
And there's stuff that our kids are going to see, and then there's the little ones going to see.
Yeah. So the 25-year-old is going to see, absolute requirement to educate, train, and competently employ AI into their daily life.
It's just going to be there.
It's got to be.
And what are the capabilities going to be?
It'll be everything from, having to do all of your financial planning and statements via, a AI-based platform that, is accessible.
An agent for that.
Sure.
Right.
How do you use that agent? We have a conversation right here, and it's not.
What about your 8-year-old? What's your 8-year-old's life going to be like?
My 8-year-old's life very clearly is not going to even understand and think that AI is a thing because it's going to be pure.
It's like us in electricity, right?
It's going to be oxygen.
What about the twins that are just weeks old? What are they going to see?
Do you know what? So just because what I was thinking is he's got to go check into the AI.
I thought
every day they give him a new ID.
I thought he broke out of the hospital to make it to the interview.
Just had twins.
Congratulations, brother. Will you come back with us?
Absolutely.
You didn't spend a whole day with us, I'm telling you right now. His name is Brian Cunningham, of course. He is the Chief Strategy Officer, Chief Operating Officer for Foundational LM AI. You can go to foundationallm.ai to go there. We'll put it on our website as well.
Continuing, thank you to everybody tuning in. As always, thank you to those gentlemen on stage, the Day Trader Trio. He is the founder and CEO of IGC Pharma Incorporated. Their ticker symbol is IGC. Ram Mukunda is back with us here on the Big Biz Show. Ram, how are you? It's always great to see you. Always great to have you back.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me back again.
No, that's okay. I missed the bell chime.
It's okay.
Yeah, he's fine. I missed the bell chime. You're muted. It's no worries at all. Ron, for people who might be tuning in for the first time, explain to us what you and IGC are doing as far as Alzheimer's. More specifically, if you can, define for us again what agitation is in Alzheimer's.
Certainly, thank you. And thanks for having me back again.
Of course.
So Alzheimer's, as many of you might know, is a neurodegenerative disease. It affects memory, it affects cognitive, your ability to think, and eventually it leads to death. But it's essentially dementia. It's the leading cause of dementia. And here's what's interesting. It's caused by two different pathologies in the brain. One is that between neurons, there's plaque that's deposited, and that cuts off the circuitry in the brain. And the second thing that happens is that from within the neuron itself starts to die, and this is essentially called tangles. So these are the two hallmarks, plaques and tangles. And this starts about 20 to 25 years before any symptoms set in. And what's interesting is that in the world, there are about 50 million people with Alzheimer's. But there's 10 times as many, between 400 and 500 million people with this pathology asymptomatic.
Can they run a test on me? Or is that something where, hey, we'll just have to wait until...
Are there markers?
Are there markers whether you get it or not?
Right. So there is essentially you have to get a PET scan.
Okay.
And the PET scan, in the PET scan, they'll be able to see they'll be able to see the plaque, they'll be able to see the tangles, and from that they can tell you you're preclinical and you may develop this. That's one way of doing it. There's another way, which is if you carry two genes. There's a particular gene that impacts people with two copies of this gene inevitably end up getting Alzheimer's. So those are two different ways that you can tell whether you might get Alzheimer's. What's interesting is that we're developing an AI model using about 32 different databases from around the world on aging and on Alzheimer's. And we're creating an AI that can actually predict whether you're going to get cognitive decline. So that's coming, but that's probably a year or two out. But that's something that we're working on. There are currently some blood biomarkers But those blood biomarkers, by the time you get them, there's already amyloid plaque building up in your brain. So that can also tell you. But it's not that simple that you could just walk in and they can, diagnose you and then say, oh, I think you're going to get Alzheimer's. So it's not quite that simple yet.
Ram Mukunda, the founder, CEO of IGC Pharma Incorporated. Their ticker symbol is IGC. Ram, talk to us if you can about IGC 81, how it works, how it's working.
So about 76% of the people with Alzheimer's suffer from agitation. They suffer from neuropsychiatric symptoms, and agitation is the leading one. And agitation essentially is a person that's verbally agitated, is verbally aggressive, physically aggressive, someone that paces a lot. Disrobing is part of agitation. Screaming and yelling, is part of agitation. And again, this isn't you scream at someone once and then you're diagnosed with agitation. This is chronic. It's a chronic condition. And we think it's caused by neuroinflammation. And so our medication, which is IGC81, is a very interesting combination of a cannabinoid, and it's not CBD, it's actually THC, and it's a very, very low dose of THC, so our patients don't get high. And it's mixed with another active pharmaceutical, and it's the combination of these two, which we believe reduces neuroinflammation in the brain, and it's shown to, and in our clinical trials, what we've been able to see is that it reduces agitation within 2 weeks. So it's very quick acting, and patients that receive it, are very happy. Their caregivers are happy, and it reduces agitation within 2 weeks. The current medication takes between 6 to 10 weeks to reduce agitation. So our medication is able to do it in 2 weeks. So that's a trial that we're running now. It's IGC81. And it's very exciting because if you think about it from a company perspective, this is right now the way we are valued. This is something that could be very valuable at the end of phase 2.
Oh, so it's huge.
Exactly. So we think at the end of phase 2 with positive results, there'll be a lot of interest even from big pharma that will want to join us or partner with us for a phase 3. And so we think that this is a great opportunity for investors. We think it's a great opportunity for people that are looking at this Alzheimer's space. And keep in mind that, as I said, there's 50 million people with Alzheimer's around the world. It's a very, very large market.
Ram, real quickly before we let you go, you mentioned AI, and it seems like almost every guest, no matter what sector they're in, we somehow go to the topic of AI. Can you tell us quickly how that's like your superpower to get this to the next level? Because this drug is really, or this therapy is really going to help individuals with Alzheimer's and the people that care for them and their families.
There's a couple of different things that we're doing with AI. We're using it in our clinical trial to actually help us accelerate the trial. We're using it to analyze data. But what we're also doing is building an AI model, like a Chat GPT. And, I like to call it an Alzheimer's GPT or an AD GPT. But essentially, it's like a Chat GPT, where we're training these models using an incredible amount of data from around the world. And there's a lot of data that's been collected on aging, a lot of data that's been collected on Alzheimer's. So we're using all of that data. This includes PET scans, it includes MRI, it includes a lot of the images, and it also includes clinical data and demographic data and socioeconomic data. So we're taking all of these to figure out whether there are groups of risk factors that can answer, Mike's question about if I walk into someone's office, a doctor's office, can they tell me that I'm going to get dementia or I'm going to get Alzheimer's 2 years out, 5 years out? And this AI model, we're very, from the early results, we're very encouraged that our AI model would be able to do that.
Ram Mukunda is the founder, CEO of IGC Pharma Incorporated, ticker symbol IGC. Ram, always great to check in with you. Thank you for the update.